going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Lasting Thoughts Podcast. I'm your host, Digital Station, and we're back again for another episode. This one is gonna be more about talking about the things that I've been interested in, but I'm just gonna go more in depth about as well, talking about a specific topic. So this one may be shorter, I don't know, but we'll see how things go from now. But as always, be sure to rate this podcast if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. Share it. One who's interested in hearing these things. What's going on with me? I've been watching stuff and listening to things and thinking about a lot of things, but going into the first thing, let's go into music. This seems to be, I guess, a strong, I don't even know if I want to say strong, a lot of artists that I either been interested in, but they're not, I don't know how to put it, I don't want to say they're not mainstream. There is a strong following, but there's been times when I told people about these artists and people who? So it's I don't know where to categorize them. But starting with the Mick Jenkins, I have recently just started getting into, I really like I said, I don't really be looking for music. Sometimes when things are in your face a lot, you get curious. So his project Waters kept on appearing in my face a lot frequently past few months. So I'm I don't know what this is, who this is, whatever the case is. I clicked on it. Comments, a lot of people really praising this project highly. I'm listening to it. It's a very, very, very good project. Very solid. The fact that this man really made a whole album talking about the importance of water, but of course amongst other things too. It's interesting. But he just dropped the song and a music video out of the blue. Isaiah Rashad from TDE has been dropping a bunch of singles, so I'm sure that's gearing up to an album. I do not know when it's coming out, but definitely looking forward to that because the Sunside Raids is a freaking, I don't know if I want to say a classic, but it's a personal classic for me. I love that album when it first came out, and granted, that was the only time I ever heard Isaiah Rashad. When they first introduced him as a part of TDE with the Shot You Down video, I passed it up. I didn't even look at it and listen to it, none of that. So I wasn't even listening to him at all. I don't know. I was really I don't want to say I was bored. I was just very open-minded one day. I was sitting at home and I was playing Call of Duty. I was playing zombies, and I guess I just needed some music. I don't really just listening to the background noise of the game. So I was let me get some music, something that keep me, to get me into high rounds. So his album just dropped. I don't know. I was why not? Went into it. The album was just phenomenal. I kept on for many years on from since it dropped to now. I just listened to that album a lot. So me, it's a personal classic, something I could definitely go back to. For the most part, really any songs I can skip either. So that's great. So I'm really excited for this next project he's gonna drop, because this man been MIA since that album, and I believe that album came out 2015 or 16, one of them. I want to say 16 because of what I was had to be the earliest, had to be 16. So hoping for his album. The only person I'm really on TDE though who really needs to come out of hiding is Absol. I don't know. And Absol is an interesting one because his projects, they age nicely for the most part. I mean, it was the same thing with Absol. I just started college, and Control System was fairly recent. It like kind of just came out by college. And I don't know why. I knew nothing about Absol really. I just gave that project and I fell in love with the whole project. Been following him since then. Next album that came after that, These Days, and then dropped Do What Thou Wilt. These Days was strange. Like it felt like how when Drake dropped Thank Me Later, it was like, yeah, this is like his first real big album, like legit album, I guess I want to say. And you can tell like he was trying to be more out there with his sound. Like he wasn't trying to go real deep into all the stuff that he talks about, subject matter. And so I felt like it was a safe album. It wasn't terrible, but it was safe. And then Do What Thou Wilt came out, which came out the same day as one of my favorite rappers, Charles Hamilton, his debut album. Charles Hamilton deserves like his own episode podcast. I'll get into that some, but yeah, so like of course I went for the Charles Hamilton project first, and then I listened to Absol afterwards. I don't know, when I listened to Absol, that album the first time, like you can tell he was going for a darker sound, but I guess like when you aren't spiritually in that mood, like it doesn't hit you. The same thing happened to me with The Pimp a Butterfly with Kendrick Lamar. When he dropped that album, I listened to it the first time, I actually discussed it. So like it just, I don't know, like it felt like a bad energy was coming from that album. Like it didn't sit right with me internally, so I dismissed that album for a few months, and I finally came back to it with a like frame of mind and a new consciousness and such, and the album sound completely different from how I first heard it. I'm like, it sounds very, like the first time I heard it sounds so depressing, I don't know why. Then the next time I heard it, like if like the first song, very funk, upbeat, and yet, like, you know, like there was nothing really technically depressing about it, but somehow when I first heard it, it put me in a depressing mood. So when I heard Absol's Do What Thou Wilt, it did the same thing for me. But I recently went back into it again, and it's very rated. I don't think people really even talk about that album much. I know if we go into like Absol, like if people would talk about his most, I guess his best project would be Control System. But yeah, so I'm waiting for him to come out of hiding someday. But now we got Isaiah Rashad. Forward to that. And as well, Tyler dropped album recently. 6th album. Tyler is interesting. He is I guess like the definition of growing up, get like self in your sound. Going from his first 2 albums being like, you know, an angry teenager just lashing out at the world and just saying vulgar stuff to upset people, to his 3rd album, he started like getting more aware of how people were feeling about the things he was saying and doing, but at the same time it was like, I'm still being like, you know, like this is me, but I'm not doing this to hurt you no more. Like doing this because this is how I express myself creatively. So like he changed his focus on how he's venting himself out. Cherry Bomb, which strangely enough, most people didn't really like that album the first time around. It was very experimental, and he kind of actually addressed that in this recent album. He I don't want to say blamed it, but his excuse for it was that he was hitting puberty in his early 20s, so he was seeing things different and experimenting with his music, so that's why that album sounded that way. But which you can obviously hear it, but I didn't mind it. It felt different, like it felt like he wasn't angry for the most part anymore, so it was more like, I guess he has to figure out how I'm supposed to like be creative now that I moved on from this part of my life. And he was just experimenting with sounds. And then we got Flower Boy. That was just another one that was like, he kind of found his sound and was like, I guess he wasn't really confident with it still, but like he felt sure about it, but he didn't feel 100% confident with it until he got Igor, where it's just like he kind of polished that it. So this next album, Call Me If You Get Lost, completely went to a whole new sound. I think this album honestly is just him just letting y'all know that he does this like musically, like he's on his rapping stuff now, like Igor and Flower Boy. Most part Igor, it was like, I think like 90% of the album with him singing. So he finally like went back onto his rapping, new production style. Well, it didn't sound like he didn't go backwards. He's progressing, he's going forward, he's maturing. So that's good. I'm noticing, I'm gonna get into it afterwards, but overall, my impression of the album, yeah, like it's good, but I don't want to say but as a bad thing. This is personally for me as a but, as in like, one thing I have always noticed about me and Tyler projects is there will always be songs that are skippable. I don't know, like I can't, like obviously when I first heard the projects, I've listened to them all, but if I'm to go back to them again, I know for a fact that songs that can do without it. And I feel like Tyler has yet to do that with me. Like the closest I can say he gotten with me would be Wolf and almost Flower Boy. Flower Boy, it's probably 1 or 2 songs I can do without. Both, same thing, probably 1 or 2 songs I can do without. But for the most part, like I can listen to them all the way through. Igor, like after a few songs, I just stopped listening. Like I don't know, it's not that bad. It just, I don't know. It just like to keep listening. That's mainly that. So this album, to be honest, I'm not sure when, but as of right now, I really don't have no plans to going back to like re-listening to the whole album. There's one song I really do like. It's probably one of his like most, well, I like the single song, What's Your Name? But obvious, the sample and like the 90s feel of it. But when you listen to the whole album, there's a song on there, I don't know the title of it, but he just goes on. It's like one of his longer songs. He explains about the situation with him and the girl and such. But like to hear, like I just love when artists can give you substance. I understand people can like rap, you nice, you good with rapping, you go to, you know, metaphors and whatnot, but like how can I relate to you? So it's like going into like a rapper like MF Doom, like this man wordplay is out of this world, but songs like Fancy Clown I love, you know, talking about him and his teenage love that cheated on him, whatnot. Like something simple like that. Like everyone been through a heartbreak. It's like, no matter how nice you are with a rhyme, but something about you that makes you still feel like you're a normal person. That's why I gotten more into listening to projects as whole compared to like listening to singles, because as a kid I would like deceive myself when like I would like love single and then I'll buy an album and all I care about was listening to the single on the album. I didn't care about listening to the whole album. So like I'll listen to the whole album, like it don't sound nothing like the single at all, because they're giving you more than that one song, that one feeling. But I didn't that's why for the most part, like when songs is dropping, they dropping multiple singles before the project, I'll probably listen to one single and then I'm like, all right, just do the project, because I don't want to feel like oh, maybe this is how it's gonna sound, and then other to the project it's gonna be like 4 songs that's completely different. I wasn't expecting this at all. But so I mean, overall, yeah, Tyler album is good. I won't say it's bad. I don't think he really ever technically made a bad album. It's just, for me, he has yet to make an album that I can listen to all the way through multiple times without having the feeling that I need to skip a song. But anyways, going on to like the things I've been watching. Watched the movie and I watched the anime. I'll talk about the anime last because that's going to lead into my main topic of what I want to talk about. So movies, Spiral recently came out. It's another one of those movies just like In the Heights that was like teased like a year or two ago, but due to COVID delayed it, I guess. Yeah, so Spiral is the eighth or ninth movie, I think it's the ninth movie in the Saw franchise. The good side about that, though, even though 9, that's a big number, but the thing about that is that you do not really need to have watched the previous 8 to understand what is going on. Like, the most you will have to know about is that originally something was going on in the original franchise timeline, but this is years later and someone is just redoing what that person had did a long time ago. So like, if I was to make up an example, like let's say there's a new Jason movie that came out, but this Jason killer is I'm not going with that. They did it with the Scream movies. Even though they all use the same ghost face mask and disguise, it was always a different killer. So it's similar to that, like someone just always repeating what was originally done beforehand. So that's what this is. So you don't really need to 100% know what's going on in the whole franchise to be like, damn, like 9 movies in, I gotta watch 8 movies to catch up to this. So, first impressions, I don't want to say I was skeptical. I was intrigued because I believe I did mention this. I don't know if it was last podcast or like 2 podcasts. I don't remember, but Chris Rock is the lead in the movie. For those who don't know, Spiral and the Saw franchise is a horror franchise. Well, I air quotes, because there's nothing really technically scary in terms of things that really pop out at you. There's some cheap jump scares, but that's the only fear factor. If you do not like blood and gore and stuff, then yeah, that's not. But other than that, nothing really technically scary. But yeah, so Chris Rock is the lead. Also with Samuel Jackson. We all know Chris Rock made his entire legacy from being a comedian. Samuel Jackson, I mean, he's very versatile, but in terms of horror movies, I don't know, possibly he been in some. I think I watched them if he have. So I don't know. I mainly know him from being in action stuff and somewhat comedy movies. So it's another situation for me with like these guys are out there and what they're doing. But with that being said, like I said, first impressions, the doubt about that is gone. It's a great movie. It's a good addition to the franchise. I'm gonna get into it towards the end. But yeah, great movie, great addition to the franchise. I recommend it, especially if you are already a fan of the Saw franchise. I do recommend it. Of course, I'm not here to give a review. I'm not gonna spoil it. So the only thing I can say about the movie that if I had to nitpick was just that, because the Saw franchise usually, they all end in like a twist, which gives a reason why all these sequels kept on happening, because end in twist. But yeah, so if you already are familiar with the movie and familiar with formula, how a twist works, for me, I saw the twist coming a mile away. Yeah, that's the only nitpick about it. But I would say that the ending of the movie completely, like, it removed my, I don't want to say my frustration, but my like, oh, that's the twist, surprise. But then it ended and I'm like, oh, okay. like it still caught me, like, even though, like, it's, I don't know how to explain, like, it still caught me in a way to like, oh, that was actually a solid ending despite the obvious twist. So that was cool. How I compare the movie to the franchise, this movie, when I was watching it initially, I was thinking that this movie felt like it was an excuse to use the Saw name. Like, usually if you're familiar with the Saw game, most of the time either the majority of the movie will take place in a trap or quote unquote the trap games, like the whole movie based on games, like series of traps that you got to go through. And sometimes there'll be like the side plot that also happens on the background. This movie was completely the opposite. So the traps and the games was just like, they were just happening, but the main plot and everything, the main focus of the movie, like, it was more storytelling compared to like trying to be a Saw movie. I don't know if that's technically a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. But I wouldn't say, like I said, for example, the first movie, like the fact that as soon as the movie starts, the main two characters spend the entire movie trapped in one room. Of course, that was to like budget. It's a new franchise, so they had to get their foot in the door, expand to how they went later on with the franchise. But yeah, like 90% of the movie took place in one room, and then other side stuff was happening. Compared to this, we are in a whole city. There's more people, more environments and stuff, so a lot was going on. But yeah, I've seen people say that this is actually better than last movie that came out, Jigsaw. I would say overall, I think it is. If I had to make one thing that I would change, I guess, I like actor who played, spoiler, and I haven't seen Jigsaw. Oh, no. This is a spoiler. I'm not going to reveal the person specifically, but obviously, if you know anything about the Saw franchise, Jigsaw, John Kramer, the main villain of the movie, and this was amazing about the franchise. That's why I love this franchise. The fact that he dies in the third movie, and yet here we are, movie 9. Like how much his legacy kept on going after his death is like amazing. The impact he had, and the fact that the last 2 movies, like Saw 1 through 7, was all one continuing timeline. Jigsaw and this movie Spiral all happened years apart from the previous movie. So the fact that these 2 movies are years apart after John Kramer's work, and yet he's still like able to get people to continue his work since. And I like the guy who continued Jigsaw more compared to this guy. Like not so much the character themselves, like the motive, nothing, is just how they portray themselves. Like this dude seems like I can believe him taking up the mantle of being the next Jigsaw compared to this guy. That was mainly it. But as for the future of the franchise, where I think this could go next, I'm not sure I'm not sure, because like I said, every movie ends in twists to open up potential sequels. But I'm looking at the movie as how they titled it, as Spiral, the Book of Saw, and I'm thinking of it like, all right, so the Book of Saw. Now I'm thinking about chapters. I'm thinking this is just one chapter in the book, and we do get more sequels. They're going to be completely different stories compared to this one. And what I'm hoping is some kind of MCU thing will happen where each of like the main characters who are in each movie that was affected by the overall plot of these guys continuing John Kramer's work come together to take down this group. I would like to see a direct sequel to this movie, but I don't know where it can go after how it ended. That's why I would prefer that it would go into quote unquote chapters. They do tell a new movie, I want them to keep it, I want the timeline to be the same. So what happened in this movie, I want it to be like a background focus in the next movie. Like we know it happened, but we're not gonna talk about it because obviously that's the twist of later on. But we know that timeline wise, we know that it just recently happened. So but the characters that was in Spiral can come back into the next movie. But for Spiral itself would be to be a sequel. I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't mind seeing it. I just don't know where it can go specifically with this specific story. But yeah, I love the Saw franchise. I'm not really a horror person. I honestly just gave this movie a chance, and I ended up binge watching the entire franchise. I've just been watching them since. But yeah, overall solid movie. I do recommend it, especially if you are into, I guess, horror stuff, and if you are a fan of the Saw franchise. There are some Easter eggs and just to let you know that it's not too far removed from the overall universe, so it's something for everyone. So the next thing that I watched was anime. I was debating, because when I found out about this anime, I found it as a movie. Then I eventually found out that what we call OVAs of it, not like consider it full series, side video. hard to explain, but each episode was like 15 minutes and the last episode was like 30 minutes. So I watched it. It was only 6 episodes long. The movie, I was trying to figure out which one to watch because yeah, like if there's a movie that's telling the same story, there was originally no definitive answer when I was like looking which one to like watch. People originally were saying to watch the movie first, then most people just said well, just watch the anime series. So I watched the series. I may rewatch it to watch the movie because apparently there's like just a little extra scenes here and there to like give a little more background stuff, but overall it's still the same story apparently. So I'm just gonna watch see what extra stuff was in there. But yeah, I don't even know if I said the name of it, but the name of the anime is called Time of Eve. This anime is I want to say think iRobot. So we're in a future time period in Japan where robots and androids are a common thing. Just like in a robot, like having android in your house to be someone who like helps you around and stuff. So the androids are they look like they look human like, not like iRobot, like where they look like the robots. There were like models beforehand that did look like legit robots. That's why they even call them robots. So they actually call them androids compared to robots to actually like let them know that there is a difference between them. But yeah, so like it's easy to tell that even though they look like humans, it's easier to tell that they are androids because they will have rings of that they are one that they are androids, and the color will go red and green to let you know that they are taking your command. They're like, when they're red, they're like just idly doing stuff. You give them a command, like then the ring will go green and whatnot. So the overall story of this anime is I guess dealing with people who are becoming what they would call android holics, I guess, which is people who are finding closer relationships with their androids compared to humans, even in terms of friendship and even in terms of love. So society's like shunning people, like, oh, you guys are like so pathetic to talk to people that you rather talk to androids and whatnot. They show like a commercial. Oh, would you guys want your food to be produced by androids? Because they don't technically know like taste and what's good for us and whatnot, and like how can they tell what's right for us? Like, we should be dependent on ourselves to make our own, grow our own. So there's a lot of human versus android situation going. So the main character, he's like he texts like the log of his android house droid, whatever, and noticed that she had went somewhere without being told while she was out and about. Like, she was told to go shopping or whatnot, but she made a pit stop on her own, and he wondering why. So he goes with his friend. They go down like this alley, and they like, what is this place? It just looked like a random like metal door or whatever. Like, it doesn't look like a door, so they didn't know it was a door. Like, it just looked like one of those metal fans and whatnot. and then an android comes by and opens the door in front of them, and they realize that it's place. So they go inside, realize it's a cafe called Eat, and the number one rule of the cafe is basically to treat humans and androids the same. Even androids, when they are inside, their rings are removed, so when you're in there you don't even know who's an android or human. And you would think that would be easy because, like, you know, obviously android would robotic, so, but they actually do develop a whole new, like a whole human personality. So there's a time, for example, where they actually met like a girl. Yeah, they met a teenage girl in there, and like she, like, you know, she's cool, she's a normal person. They believe she was a normal person, and then they was at school the next day just talking about the place, and then they saw her, and he about to go up to talk to her, and when he turned around, he looked up and saw that she had the android ring around her head and realized Joy. So he was like, okay. And then he was like, yo, it's like she's a complete different thing. Like she's just like an obedient robot outside in the real world. Like when you're in this place, everyone is treated the same. Everyone is, you know, there is no human, there's no robot. You're just a customer in this cafe. That's why that's the rule. Like, don't really discuss all of that. Don't try to put people out as if they are human or if they are android. Just thing. So yeah, so that they are in this place, but he couldn't find the main reason why he went there, obviously, if his house droid was actually going there. And at first he couldn't find her there until he randomly saw her, and she freaked out and left. And then it was just awkward at home because she's just acting like a normal android when she's there. So like, you know, it's weird. But he started, you know, feeling something inside of him, you know, being intrigued by this place. So he started frequently going there, like almost every day, and he started really like adjusting. At first he was feeling weird about it, like why are, and like his friend as well too, like why are y'all trying to be human, like, android? I can't understand how we truly feel or whatnot. His friend was annoying as hell. If I was to nitpick about a bad thing, but that was like internal question with myself. Like, when you hate a character or dislike a character a lot, is it because they are like just terribly written or annoying, or is it like they were meant to annoy you? Like, does that technically count as a win? I mean, they are actually well written, so like they did their job. Like, you're supposed to hate this character, you don't feel no way about this character, then we failed. So, I don't know, like eventually, you know, he redeems himself, but like through majority of the show he was just annoying. We eventually learned why. So yeah, the main character was like, he was on the fence about it at first. He didn't understand why, but then I don't know, as he kept on, like say, he kept on going there and realizing, like, you know, when he's there, it's like, yeah, like the labels and whatnot goes away. Like, he can just chill with these people. You know, everyone have their stories, everyone have their feelings. Like, if it's Andrew, yeah, so he grown to like the place a lot, and him feeling more accepting and whatnot. I low-key wish there was more closure. I feel like it kind of ended. It ended to make it seem like there's gonna be another season, but apparently this anime is what, like 7 or 8 years old now, and no second season, so it's looking like that's not happening. So I guess, I mean, That's why I hate recommending good animes that that should have another season but don't. And it's like, I don't know, another one that's good. I mentioned it before. No Game No Life, amazing. It definitely left it for a sequel, but to this day there's no sequel. So I don't know. I'll recommend it honestly because it's a good watch, and it actually leads into my topic now. Like, good thing to like think about. But yeah, fair warning that there is no following up to what happens afterwards. So yeah, going into like my main topic overall of what I wanted to really talk about after watching the movie. And of course, like I said, if you've seen iRobot, you notice the comparison quickly. So you know, we always had all these movies, shows, video games. You've seen iRobot and whatnot, and like the things that movies have predicted for us, and movies, video games, and TV shows that predicted the things that we would have by now and whatnot. Like I would go, for example, Back to the Future. We actually passed the year that the movie Back to the Future 2, when they jumped to the future, we passed the year. So they predicted like we should have, or probably would have by that time, and like where we are with it now, like having drones, just like I don't know, I guess like what you call it, got like Teslas now, so you know, electric cars are becoming more common, hoverboards doing a thing, VR gaming, whatnot. Just all like the way technology has advanced from, or you could unlock your phone with your thumb or your face recognition. You can pay things by tapping your phone next to the scanner. You don't even need your card. Just getting to the point where like having a wallet, it's one thing, then having like cards, and like, you know, your phone. Just leave your house with keys in your phone. Probably might get to the day where you don't need your keys. Like maybe you just put your phone up to your door and it will scan and unlock your door. We already got pushed to start cars, so that's most part you don't 100% need your key. Yeah. Then we got games like Cyberpunk, with all the body enhancements and whatnot. But before I even get to that, yeah, like let's talk about first, let's talk about things that we are kind of like ushering in. Got Teslas. They're becoming common now, slowly. They're already known for, like I said, their electric cars, and they're also self-driving cars, like, getting to the point where cars can drive themselves. Of course, I have not driven one and whatnot, so I don't know the technology behind it. Like, I don't know the limitation of the self-drive. Like, when you reach your destination, like, does it like find an automatic parking spot for you and park the car, or are you on your own at that part? Because like a place like New York, for example, always those signs where like you will notice, like you'll see a huge gap in parking space and you wonder why there's no cars. Then the signs like, oh, we're parking here Monday through Friday this time. It's like, stupid. Like, will your car know that you shouldn't supposed to be parking there? Your car parks you somewhere it shouldn't be. I don't know. So I haven't been in one to know how that works, but for the most part, it seems like when you are just driving normally, like it's aware of what's around it to not drive into another car and whatnot. So we are getting into the time where that's getting on. I mean, people building robots and having AIs, you know, Siri and Hey Google, and no, right now these are all digital. Also, want to be physical. Like, my thing is like, it's like kind of my beef with like human beings. Like, we want change, and then there's the group that don't want change, and it's the group that don't want change that become the loudest because they become the most disturbed, and they cause the most panic, cause the most, you know, hysteria, and becomes an issue with everyone. And like, yeah, so take Will Smith character and iRobot, you know, he was someone who was like real old school and still wearing old shoes. When he preferred driving his car manually and self-driving. He had a freaking motorcycle that still ran on fuel. Most cars wasn't running off fuel no more. He ate the idea of robots and do everything himself. Obviously, backstory of why, but yeah, so there's gonna be those people who's like, you know, I want to stick to the roots of everything just being human and whatnot. Like, oh, now we got, you know, the number one thing, you know, because the number one issue eventually, obviously, losing jobs and whatnot, you know, the fact that we have self-checkouts and grocery stores and whatnot. Like, you don't even have to talk to a person no more. Just walk up over there, scan, pay, and walk out. I was actually at the well, not me. I noticed that you can actually saw the video Instagram. I think it's Amazon. I don't know, like an Amazon store, whatever the place, but they had a cart that comes with, like, I guess like a tablet or whatever and stuff, and you can scan stuff you are taking right to the cart, and like just put it all in the cart and it's already scanned right there, and you make your payment right there and you just walk right out. Like, literally getting to the point where it's like the only thing people are here for right now is just to restock everything. Like, you don't even need to talk to people no more. Like, there's already apps. Oh, the thing I'm looking for is an IO10. So you don't even, like, you know, if you come in with a game plan, like, you can literally walk in and out that store without speaking to one associate, unless they like force themselves to speak to you. Like, literally, like, oh, okay, I already know what all my items are. The freaking this app or there's the card that already lets me scan all my items as I'm going, and once I'm done, pay right there, walk right out. Of course, there's still those places, what you call it, grocery stores where people would have to like check the receipt at the end or whatnot. But for the places that don't do that, so you just walk right in, walk right out, paying for your stuff, and that's it. Yeah, like, when it gets to a point where robots are gonna be like driving up and down the aisles themselves and putting things into the shelves themselves and whatnot, and yeah, it goes into the same question of that that commercial of like, you want your food to be produced by robots. Like, how do they know what's good for us if they don't even eat it or drink it, type thing. So it's like, at this point, it's gonna become a question of what are we gonna be good for anymore if we go that route with like having androids and robots do everything for us. Like, what is gonna be our purpose anymore at this point? Like, I mean, granted, I'm already like, as is, like I'm already like against a lot of things we do. Like, I believe we are doing a lot of things we shouldn't be doing by nature, like like humans being territorial and whatnot. I don't want to get deep into all that. Like, that's not stance on this podcast, but humans just been very contradicting on everything like throughout history. So like, us losing our purpose, it's like, I think we lost our purpose a long time ago, and as time goes on, it's losing even more and more. So then we got the people who's building robots and whatnot, and you know, now we're losing what's cute, you know, why we wake up anymore. You know, you wake up to go to work, you know, maintain your house or whatnot, but why do I need to do that when there's a robot that does my job, when there's a robot that can clean my house? Like, why am I waking up anymore? Why am I living anymore if I literally serve no purpose at this point? So that's always going to be the human versus android relationship. Like, we want the change. We didn't know there's people that don't, you know, yeah, we want the extra help. We don't want to do everything. We want to be lazy. Especially going into, like, you know, when we got into lockdown, like, a lot of people had to do things at home and whatnot. It's like, you know, maybe it was a handful, an extra hand, having a robot clean up for you while someone like me or people who are bigger than me who do podcasting for like a living or stream for a living, like, they can focus on streaming and whatnot. No, not there's a robot, you know, cleaning the dishes, taking out the trash or something. Yeah, I'm sure there's people that, you know, welcome it. Yeah, there's gonna be people who are gonna be like, well, we're losing what makes us us. We're losing our purpose, so what's the point? So yeah, but for me, I always been on. I've been like on the fence about it, like on everything. Yeah, cause like, I know what goes through certain jobs prior, like hour, and granted, yeah, it could be possible someday to just completely replace all of that with robot technology and whatnot. But yeah, it's like, yeah, where that leaves us. I think that's why I enjoy doing these things, like entertainment aspect. You know, yeah, like there's a point in the movie where you learned that the kid plays the piano, that he actually, I think he competition or whatever, and it forced him to kind of lost his self-drive and his confidence to play the piano again, because he lost to it. There's no, they know perfection. They don't know the human side of practicing to be good. They just are programmed. Here, play this song. They just learn in 2 seconds and they do it flawlessly. Like, it's that human emotion that goes into creating. That's why I love creating so much. Like, despite as much work it takes, like when I'm done recording this and I gotta go back and fix anything that I have did, or if I had any breaks or whatnot, and stuff. When I made my video, I had to record all the gameplay and whatnot, edit all the footage so that it makes sense with what I'm saying, so everything times up perfectly. Like, it's a lot, but I enjoy it because that's like, that's the side that makes you you. Like, that's your vision. That's the part of you that you are expressing to it. Like, yeah, there are a bunch of podcasts out there. I see this question a lot in like my podcast group of like, oh, explain your podcast. What makes it different from others? And it's like, it's not so much as my podcast like telling you like, oh, I'm just talking about stuff. It's not so much about what I'm talking about. It's just me. Like, what makes my podcast different is because I'm doing it. Like, there, I don't know anyone else who talks about things like I talk about, or who talks about them the way I do, or cares about the things I care about. That's why we want to have guests, so maybe that I can find people like that, find people with different opinions. That's what it's all about, being self. So yeah, like the part of like, yeah, being human, like there's certain things that human, like androids and robots, I personally believe they just can't replicate. Movie in real life is gonna be a thing. Like, what's that movie? Oh god, it's another Will Smith movie too. Gemini Man, one of them. Where, well, that's not technically a robot, it's a clone, but same concept of, you think of clones, robots, and androids. If they look like you, act like us, the thing is, what makes us us. Soul, even that souls, certain thing. I believe it's souls, spirits. Spirits, not so much spirits. Like not ghosts and stuff, but like spirits as in like your energy and whatnot, like your spiritual energy. That's something that that's we've been given. And yeah, so it's like when they make clones and it's like they find out they find out that there's another clone and they don't know that they are the clone, so it becomes an eternal struggle, like who, like, am I real, who's fake and whatnot. And it's like that's always gonna be a thing. Like we're always, there's not gonna be something that's gonna like like you can't copy soul, the essence of what makes you are, what you was born with. Or you can sound like you do, but you won't have the passion and the drive to do them the way I do it, why I do them. Like, you won't understand why you're doing it. It's soulless. Yeah. Going into another thing that I always been on the fence about, the cyberpunk and cybernetic enhancements. On paper, sounds cool, sounds great. Like, yeah, I would love to. Well, I wouldn't love to. I personally hate phone calls, but the idea of like, yeah, you don't have to, like I said, everything is on your phone now, and then there's everything's chip and playing my body now. I can answer a phone call, find anything, or connecting a wire from my body to something, how they did it. Whatever way that makes it more convenient for you to do things without needing items. Like, don't come to a point where we're just gonna have clothes with no pockets because there's no point in carrying, because we are gonna be in control of everything what we enhance ourselves with. again, same thing with me. Like I said, on paper, sounds amazing. Like, oh, there's a YouTube video that I want to watch. You know, like, oh, can't bring your phone into school or into work. Of course, I wish that would lead into other problems. Of course, I guess that should be also a thing that's like age limit. It's like gotta be a certain age to get enhancements. But yeah, but for this example, let's say you're in school or whatever, you thinking about a video or whatever, or you know, you want to cheat on a test and you just browse up a website in your head, like, you know, eyes, you know, illuminates the website. Obviously, usually there's a way to tell, like, you know, people's eyes will, oh bro, what you doing? Like, I see what you're doing. But yeah, like, yeah, the convenience of like you just walking, like, oh, I feel like watching them, like, you know, yeah, like, oh, you're on a plane, it's gonna be a long flight, and you have Netflix all in your head. Like, you don't need a tablet, you don't need to pay for the flight or whatever. Just know, yeah, you just, yeah, just it's in your mind. You just boot up the movie and it just projects in your eye. So yeah, the convenience sounds great, but again, goes into like essence and your humanity. I don't know, like, I don't believe, I don't know, it's like, I don't want to say believe in, I just don't like the idea of, I never liked the idea of doing things or taking things to enhance how you feel. Like, it's the reason why I don't drink, it's the reason why I don't smoke, it's the reason why I don't drink certain things like energy drinks or coffee or whatever. I just don't like the idea of I need something else to make me better, because my logic with that is, let's go into a time period before these things were invented and people had to strive and deal with life, and energy drinks didn't exist and coffee didn't exist. Like, you have the power to naturally give yourself the energy you need. Like, you know, the point is, like, it's, everyone wants to be instant. Like, you know, you drink an energy drink and you feel like, oh, like, it doesn't hit you instantly, but it's like, it's a mind trick. Like, you think you just hit a energy drink and you think it just like freaking turns you Super Saiyan and you good. Like, I'm pretty sure it doesn't hit you that instantly, bro. And I think that's the quote unquote scam of it. Like, I'm not saying that energy drinks don't work or whatever the case is. Like, I just don't like the idea of, like, because I have done this plenty of times to like, when I felt sick, and like, I really hate, well, I personally don't even like others and what, I don't like taking medicine and what, I do take medicine sometimes, and it's like, my mind will play a trick on me, like a few minutes. Oh, I just took this medicine, I feel better. And then like eventually, like, brain was just like, ah, you're still sick. So it's like, I don't know, it's like a mind thing. It's like, oh, you think whatever it is you just did just fixed you, but no, it's still a process. Like, everything will be a process. Like, waking up in the morning, you're not a morning person. Like, I don't think people are supposed to be getting up and just like throwing themselves into the middle of everything. Like, I think to get up, take time with it, adjust yourself, realize what's going on, focus, reevaluate yourself, and just whatnot, and just slowly progress and slowly just increase your energy from there and just keep going on. Like, there's been times where it's like, I had days where I barely do anything and I feel like I have zero energy, like I'm exhausted. Then there's time where I work a lot of hours and I come home and still be up hours later, and it's like, damn bro, when I'm gonna be tired. Like, I don't know, like your body is just like that. Like you can, it can do a lot of things. It's all about your energy, yeah, like how you are able to recharge yourself. I don't like the idea of having to take something to be something different or feel something different. That's why I don't like the idea of going out to parties and whatnot. And I gotta drink so that I can enjoy the party. Like, why can't I just enjoy it naturally? Stuff. Yeah, it's whatever. But yeah, I mean, talking solo a lot, like it's really can be exhausting just talking to yourself a lot. Like, I guess, so for the most part, I guess I'll end it here. Kind of my points. So yeah, I mean, question of the day, of course, like, how do you guys feel about, you know, if we ever get into the time period where we have androids and self-driving cars become the norm? Like, when we get to that point of the future where we can do less and we have machines do more, like, are you guys for it or against it? And yeah, that's mainly it. So yeah, man, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This is actually probably one of my longest solo episodes. I think so, I'm not sure. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Share, like I said, rate it, listen on Apple Podcasts. As well, my podcast is also now available on Amazon. If you guys are using that service to stream stuff, my podcast is available on there too. So yeah, Amazon, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatnot. And yeah, see you guys next episode. Take care. Peace.